Hello everyone. Today we're going to do just a simple look at variables and we'll make our first really functional program. So let's just jump into it. If you haven't done so, we'll go ahead and bring up Visual Studio. We'll work with that today and make sure your Python is properly loaded. We will just go ahead, we're just going to go ahead and create a brand new project. So I'm going to go new project, and I already had Python up, so I was just screwing around with it before. But as you can see, Python's quite a bit down the aisle. We're going to go ahead and click on the Python, none of the other ones, and Python application. There's also Iron Python application, which would kind of work okay as well. But I think I'm going to have everyone just work at the Python application as of right now. And then let's go ahead and change this, and we're going to call this variables. And variables, as you all know from the past, or you might be aware of from the past, are just things that are going to change in nature. But we're going to talk to putting print statements in to see not just changing variables, but static variables as well. As you can see, I put it in a specific location. I'm actually going to go ahead and change that, and I'm going to create a new folder called examples. Okay, feel free to do that. A lot of times they'll store it under users, Visual Studio will, and sometimes it's kind of hard to find. I prefer to do it here. In this case, I associate with the class. And solution, create new solution. Yep, let's go ahead and do it. We call variables. Yeah, I almost want to call this print. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call it print, and you'll see why in a second. We're going to talk about variables as they pertain to the print statement. So this kind of goes along with the book chapter as well. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay it. And now we got our print py. One of the nice things about Python is it's extremely simple. So you don't have 15,000 lines that you have to put in your code first to make it work. If you've ever used C++, you load the libraries first. If you're C#, you don't even get a choice. You have to do all this. It puts all this verbosity in right away. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. Java, same way. You got to load your libraries up first, and so on. And here you don't. You can actually just get into programming. In fact, I can just say print. And as you can see, I got a little bit of a fix here. I started off with a capital P. I wanted a small p, and sure enough, it's right there. So let's just double click into that. That will change it correctly. And then I am going to say, the typical hello world, but let's go ahead and say hello in there. And that is it. Let's hit attach. And as you can see, look at there. We already made our first program. We've already pushed out hello to the real world. Now let's break this down a little bit. First off is the print statement. And let me make this a little bit larger for you if you can't see it. You probably can enlarge it, make it full screen and see it a little better, but I think I will fix this for you instead. So I'm going to change my fonts and colors, if it'll let me. There we go. I have 10. I'm going to take it up to 12. Hopefully that'll be all right. And hopefully you can see this a little better. Please give me feedback if there's any issues. So basically here I have the word print with parentheses and say hello. Now, what happens if I took the parentheses off? And if I hit this, and as it says, one or more files in your project contains errors you want to launch anyways. So here's the issue. I'm going to say no, because what's the point? But here's the issue. You would think, well, I got quotes around it. It should know exactly what I want to write. Well, that's where variables come in. Because what happens if you were printing, a term called x, and x had a value of 7? Well, then you would have to put that, you wouldn't put quotes around that. Quotes means that it's a string literal, for those of you who remember, meaning that it's going to put exactly what you have in here. Now, we're going to add some more pieces to this. First off, there is a question of quotes versus double quotes. And to handle this, I'm going to teach you something new. So I'm going to type in a hashtag, or a tic-tac-toe board, or a sharp, or I'm sure there's 3 other names for that symbol, but basically, or I think you even called a pound at one time. Basically, we're going to use this in order to create comments. So in the past, or maybe you've learned this before, in a lot of languages they use the slashes. In Python they use let's just call that a hash. So that's going to allow me to print something in here, which is talking about the word double quotes. And if I push it, because it is a comment, it will never see the light of day. All you see is the hello. Now, the reason why I put double quotes in there is because double quotes versus single quotes in programming language can mean different things. So in most programming languages, double quotes means string, single quotes means character, and others, like in a web, double quotes will look for variables where single quotes won't care. It's just going to spit out whatever it is. In Python, double quotes equal single quotes. It doesn't care because Python tries to be friendly. So what's the point of having both of them? Well, you really want to pick a standard here. So in other words, if you're going to quote people, like say Tom says hello, right? In that case, you wouldn't want to combine these in double quotes, right? So you would stick to a convention. In fact, maybe that's a better word for it. In that Tom says hello is encased in the single quotes, but then the double quotes are going to be printed out. So let's go ahead and play it. Tom says hello. Notice the single quotes don't show up, but we get those double quotes to come out. So in other words, if I'm going to use double quotes there, it's not a good idea to use double quotes in both spots. Why? Because it's confusing. that's essentially the bottom line. In fact, as you can see here, it's errors because it doesn't know what to do. It's trying to go from Tom says to right before the H, and then all of a sudden you have hello, and then so it say as well as hello variable. I don't know. The best way to do is just keep these guys inside. And let's stop there, and we'll bring some numbers into the next file. But hold on to this file. In fact, every file you make and every time you run, save those folders so we can bring them up and work on them next time. Okay?